He said it like it was a fire, not a leak. Not some boring house thing. Come home now, but come alone. And the stupid part is, I almost ignored him, because I was standing outside a church with my Bible in my hand, like that meant I had my life under control. 6 months after Russell died, I was still doing this routine where I show up, sit in the same pew, pretend the grief has edges. It was Memorial Sunday at Trinity Methodist here in Evansville. I'd ironed a black cardigan like anyone was grading me. My name is Cynthia Hartley. My phone buzzed right as I stepped up onto the first stone stair. I remember the vibration because my hands were cold and it made me jump. Mrs. Hartley, a man's voice. Tight. It's Mark, the engineer. I'm at your house. I hired him because our water bill had been creeping up for 3 months. And I kept telling myself it was the sprinkler system, or the neighbor kid messing with the spigot. Anything but something inside the walls. Then this morning, the ceiling under Russell's study had this soft bubble to it, like wet cardboard. When I pressed it, it gave a little, and it smelled sour, like old drywall that's been sitting in a dumpster. Okay, I said, can you just shut the water off? And no, he cut me off. Not rude, just scared. You need to come home immediately. I looked at the church doors. People were walking in, smiling at each other, normal stuff. Mark lowered his voice. I opened the wall behind the built-ins in your husband's study. I found something he hid back there. I didn't say anything for a second. Because my brain did that thing where it tries to be polite even when it shouldn't. Like, wow. Thank you for finding my husband's secret treasure, sir. Then he added, and you should come alone. Please don't bring your son. That snapped me awake. My son, I said. Adrian's not even here. I know, Mark said. I'm just telling you. Don't call him. Don't show up with him. I found a small safe bolted to the studs. Mrs. Hartley. But there was a single manila envelope wedged between the safe and the drywall. It had your son's name written on it in big, urgent letters. That's why I called. I didn't read what's inside. I just saw the name. Okay. If you're watching this and thinking you'd handle it calmly, you're lying. I was shaking. But I still did the dumbest thing first. I stared at the church like maybe God was going to come outside and give me a note with instructions. I turned my phone off. Not silent, off. Then I walked back to my car so fast I nearly tripped on the curb. I threw my Bible on the passenger seat like it had betrayed me. My keys kept slipping because my fingers wouldn't cooperate. I drove home with my jaw clenched so hard my teeth hurt. 11 minutes, maybe less. I didn't look at the speedometer. I just kept seeing the words in my head come alone. When I pulled up, Mark was on my front steps, still holding his little tool bag like it was a shield. He didn't wave. He just nodded once toward the front door, like, it's upstairs. I followed him inside without taking my shoes off, which would have made Russell insane. And the whole time, I kept thinking whatever is behind that wall. My husband hid it from somebody. And now somebody had a name. The study smelled of damp earth and rot. But when I cracked the safe, a ghost of Russell's sandalwood cologne escaped. Mark is already inside. A square of drywall has been cut out behind the built-in shelves. The opening is clean, too clean, like surgery. I shut the main valve. He tells me, the copper line corroded where it brushed this bracket. He points to it. The pipe edge is green and crusted. I nod like I understand plumbing. I don't. And this I ask. He steps aside. There's a small mechanical safe bolted straight into a load-bearing stud. Russell renovated this room 10 years ago, bragged about reinforcing the wall himself. I remember rolling my eyes while he talked about structural integrity like it was poetry. He built this extension, Mark adds quietly. The secondary line isn't standard. He made room for something. I kneel. My knees crack. 60 is not graceful. The dial on the safe is old school, mechanical. No keypad. Russell never trusted digital locks. You want me to open it? Mark asks. No. My voice comes out flat. I know the code. It's not our anniversary, not our son's birthday. It's the date we drove to Louisville and signed papers without telling anyone. Stupid, impulsive, hours. The dial clicks. The door gives. Inside, it's packed tight. Stacks of cash, rubber banded with bank straps. I didn't need to count them to know the damage. The teller's stamps confirmed it. $43,200, withdrawn in uneven amounts over the last year. This wasn't a panic pull. This was a slow-motion escape plan. Behind it, bank statements, highlighted lines, a USB sealed in a little moisture bag, and a folded letter with my name on it. Mark shifts his weight. I didn't read it. But you saw something. He hesitates. A page slipped when I cut the wall. I saw your son's name at the top. Adrian Hartley. That's when I stopped. He looks embarrassed, like he broke into something sacred. I don't want trouble, he adds, but I also didn't think you should walk into church not knowing this existed. I sit back on my heels, staring at the stacks of cash. Russell hid this behind a reinforced wall, and he hid it from Adrian. I carry everything downstairs to the kitchen table, cash stacked in front of me, statements spread out like I'm back in my old office. For a second, I almost laugh. Retired for 3 years, and here I am doing forensic accounting on my own husband. I was a CPA for 28 years. Numbers don't scare me. People do. The first thing I notice isn't the amounts. It's the ink. Russell always used a blue fountain pen. Always. He used to complain black ink looked lazy, even on grocery lists. It was blue. These consulting invoices, black toner, printed signature blocks. No pen pressure. No indentation. Halverson Consulting, LLC. I read it out loud. Owned solely by Dwight Halverson. The name hit me like a physical blow. Dwight was Russell's bridge to the modern market. The man he trusted to handle the digital transition. I had seen the invoices before, but I'd never looked at the ownership filings. 37 months of transfers hidden in plain sight. I total it twice because I don't trust my hands. $347,216. I sit back. You idiot. I mutter. I don't mean Russell. I open the letter. Cynthia. If you're reading this, it means I waited too long. He writes that he suspected Dwight inflated consulting fees, that he needed internal approval signatures to release funds. Adrian's name appears in the margins, not as a thief, as authorization, Russell writes. I won't go to the authorities yet. If this explodes, Adrian's approval logs will be subpoenaed. I won't risk that without proof he understood what he signed. I press my thumb against the page. My chest feels tight, but not from grief. Russell wasn't protecting himself. He was protecting our son. I stare at the black toner signatures again. Either Adrian was careless, or he knew exactly what he was approving. And those are two very different things. Martin Lyle's office smells like burnt coffee and old carpet. He's mid-50s, gray at the temples, kind eyes that don't promise miracles. I lay the statements out in front of him. $347,216. I tell him. Over 37 months, he adjusts his glasses. It looks bad. Bad like illegal. Bad like suspicious. He taps one invoice. Not automatically criminal. I feel my jaw tighten. Russell never signed in black toner. That helps, Martin replies. But Dwight can argue consulting fees, advisory services, strategic modernization. Without metadata or internal emails proving fraud, it's a contract dispute. A contract dispute I almost laugh. He siphoned nearly $350,000. Martin leans back. You need digital trails, IP logs, proof the work didn't exist. Otherwise, he'll frame this as business judgment. I hate that he's calm. I want outrage, so I sit on it. I ask, "No." He answers, "You gather more." I get home, and there's an envelope taped to my front door. From Halverson and Reed, attorneys at law. Formal demand, all business-related documents returned within 14 days. Immediate compliance required. I call Martin. They're pushing first. I tell him, "They're testing you." He says, "If you refuse, they may seek injunction and freeze distributions." It's possible. I hang up and stare at Russell's study door. For the first time since Mark cut open that wall, I feel something close to panic. Because if I make the wrong move, I don't just lose an argument. I lose the company Russell built from nothing. I wait until the house is quiet before I plug in the USB. I clicked on the master file inside the USB, an encrypted PDF labeled private. A password box popped up. I tried our anniversary first. Wrong. Then it hits me. Dog's name, elopement date. I hit enter, and the file finally bloomed open. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Folders, cleanly labeled, QuickBooks exports, invoice histories, metadata timestamps. Russell never did anything halfway. I open one invoice from Halverson Consulting. The creation timestamp doesn't match the submission date, uploaded late at night. From a residential IP, there's a spreadsheet mapping payments, $347,216 routed over 37 months. Then the email folder, Dwight's name appears again and again, and then Adrian. One message catches my eye. From Adrian to Dwight. "If Dad refuses modernization, we need a path forward." My stomach drops. But not the way you'd expect. It's not rage, it's recognition. I scroll further. Another file, succession plan. Without Russell. I whisper it out loud. Without Russell. The IP logs tie uploads to Dwight's home address. I sit back in my chair. Adrian didn't write about stealing. He wrote about moving forward, growth, expansion. God help me. I can almost hear his voice when he typed it. He thought he was fixing something. That doesn't mean he wasn't part of breaking it. Adrian walks in without knocking. He still has a key. I almost forgot that. "You turned your phone off." He says, not "hello, Dwight called me." He said lawyers are involved. I stay seated at the kitchen table. The USB is still plugged into my laptop. Papers spread everywhere. "Sit down," I tell him. He doesn't. "What is this about?" I rotate the screen toward him. The email is still open. "If Dad refuses modernization, we need a path forward." His face tightens. "That's out of context." "Then give me the context," I reply. He runs a hand through his hair. "Mom." Dwight handles strategy. Dad was stuck. He wouldn't invest, wouldn't expand. Clients were leaving. "So you signed approvals." "I approved internal transfers, consulting fees." Dwight told me it was standard. His voice rises. "I didn't take money. I know you didn't." He pauses. That throws him. "You know I've seen the bank records. $347,216. None of it went to you." He looks relieved for half a second, then defensive again. "So what's the problem?" "The problem," I say evenly, "is your signature validated every payment." He steps back from the table like it burned him. "You're blaming me." "I'm not blaming you. I'm telling you how this looks in court." He scoffs. "Court, you're overreacting. If you leave this house and call Dwight," I say quietly, "I send every file to the county prosecutor. That lands." "You wouldn't." "I would." We stare at each other. He's breathing hard. I can smell his cologne, sharp and synthetic. Not like Russell's. "You think I betrayed Dad," he mutters. "I think you trusted the wrong man." He doesn't move toward the door. And for the first time since this started, I realize the next step depends entirely on him. Martin Lyle calls me into his office the next morning. He's not smiling this time. He's got printouts from the USB spread across his desk. Sit, he tells me. This just moved. Moved where I ask. From ugly civil dispute to potential federal problem. He taps one spreadsheet. Halverson Consulting deducted these payments as legitimate business expenses, but the metadata shows the invoices were created after the accounting period closed, meaning the deductions may be fraudulent. I feel my pulse jump. Tax fraud, possibly. He lowers his voice. If those deductions were improper, we're not talking about $347,000 anymore. We're talking about federal exposure. That word hangs in the air. I exhale slowly. So now he's not just greedy. He's vulnerable. Careful. Martin warns. Accusations trigger counters. Right on cue. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. I answer. Dwight's voice. Smooth, but tight underneath. Cynthia. I hear you're waving around incomplete financial data. I'm reviewing my husband's records. You're interfering with company operations. If you circulate manipulated files, I will pursue defamation. I haven't circulated anything. Return the documents within 14 days, he continues, or my attorneys will file. I've already retained counsel. Silence. Then you're making a mistake. The line clicks dead. I look at Martin. He sounds scared. He sounds aggressive. Martin corrects. That's different. An hour later, we receive notice preliminary counterclaim for estate interference. I stare at the papers. For a second, I almost tell Martin to draft a quiet settlement. Take less. Walk away. But then I remember the black toner signature. And I close the folder instead of surrendering. Adrian shows up again 2 nights later. This time he looks tired. Not defensive. Just worn. I met with Dwight. He admits. He wants me to sign a statement, just confirming the consulting structure was legitimate. Did you, I ask? He doesn't answer right away. That's answer enough. It's not lying, he mutters. It was legitimate. I believed it was. I nod slowly. Belief isn't the same as truth. He exhales hard. Mom, if this goes criminal, I get dragged into it. You already are. He flinches. I walk to the hallway drawer and grab Russell's old phone, still plugged into the charger I never had the heart to unplug. I navigate to the voice memos. I hit the play button. Russell's voice filled the kitchen, echoing against the cold tiles. It was grainy, weary, the sound of a man who knew his heart was failing him. It sounded like a warning from another world. I don't want our son dragged into court. I'm trying to fix this quietly. I'll handle Dwight. Adrian doesn't need to carry this. Adrian goes completely still. That was 3 months before he died, I say. He swallows. He knew, he suspected. Silence stretches. I can hear the refrigerator hum behind us. He didn't tell me. Adrian whispers. He was protecting you. Adrian sits down at the kitchen table. The fight drains out of him. I thought he didn't trust me. He says he trusted you too much. He rubs his face with both hands. Then he looks up. I won't sign Dwight's affidavit. He says quietly, I'll tell the truth about the approvals. Exactly how they happened. I nod once. This is the first honest thing he's offered since Russell died. And it's not enough yet. We meet in a conference room downtown. Fluorescent lights. Cheap coffee. It smells faintly like toner and anxiety. Dwight walks in first. Navy suit. Confident smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. Cynthia. He greets me. This is unnecessary. Martin sits beside me. Adrian across from Dwight. That alone shifts something. Dwight's attorney opens a folder. Our position remains clear. Consulting services were provided. Compensation was agreed upon. I slide a stack of printouts forward. Then explain the timestamps. The attorney doesn't look at me. Metadata can be altered. Martin interjects. These creation logs are server captured and archived. The upload IP traces to Mr. Halverson's residential network. Dwight's jaw tightens. Circumstantial. $347,216, I say calmly. Deducted as business expense. Created after closing periods. His lawyer flips pages. Business adjustments happen. Martin leans in. Improperly classified deductions create federal exposure. That lands. Dwight's eyes flick to his attorney. I turn to Adrian. Tell them how approvals worked. Adrian clears his throat. I reviewed summaries Dwight prepared. I didn't see underlying documentation. I trusted his representations. You signed. Dwight snaps. I signed what you presented. Adrian fires back. You told me it was standard restructuring. The room goes still. Martin continues. Voice even. We're prepared to forward the tax discrepancies to federal authorities if resolution isn't reached today. Dwight exhales slowly. You're threatening me. No. I reply, I'm informing you. His attorney whispers something in his ear. Dwight asks for a recess. They step outside. I look at Adrian. He won't meet my eyes. But he hasn't walked away. 10 minutes later, they return. Dwight's tone has changed. What are your terms? Martin outlines them clearly. Full repayment of $347,216. Buyout of my 50% share at fair market valuation, $392,000. Immediate dissolution of Halverson Consulting, LLC. Written admission in a sealed civil settlement. Adrian signs a cooperation affidavit clarifying internal approval procedures. Dwight stares at the paper for a long moment. Then he signs. I don't raise my voice. I don't stand up. I look at him and say, You used my son to sign your theft. He doesn't answer. The pen in his hand leaves a black line across the page. And for once, it isn't Russell's ink that matters. Dwight wires the money within 10 business days. $347,216 returned. $392,000 for my share. Clean transfers. No drama. 3 months later, Martin calls. The bank's compliance department flagged Dwight's sudden attempt to liquidate his offshore accounts to pay your settlement. Martin told me. That red flag triggered a full-scale IRS audit of his entire business history. They're looking at every deduction he ever made. It's a house of cards. Cynthia, and it's finally falling. His deductions are under review, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. I don't celebrate. I just nod. That's his problem now. Dwight's assistant, the one who'd been CC'd on every fraudulent invoice, resigns from her position before the audit even officially begins. She calls me once. This went too far. She says, it went exactly far enough. I answer. Adrian avoided jail time through a pretrial diversion program. Thanks to his cooperation, he's on thin ice, and he knows it. His affidavit helps. The county attorney makes that clear, but he loses his executive title. You'll start in field operations, the new interim manager tells him. Supervised. Adrian doesn't argue. He just looks at me afterward. I thought I was building something, he admits. You were. I reply, just not what you thought. I pay off the mortgage. Quietly. No ceremony. I set up the Russell Hartley Skilled Trades Scholarship Fund for 2 apprentices a year, practical, local. One evening, Adrian stands in the doorway of the study. You're leaving it open now, he asks. Yes. He nods. I'll earn it back. I look at him for a long time. I love you, I tell him. I don't trust you yet. That will take longer. And if you're still here listening to this, remember, this much trust isn't inherited. It's built, and sometimes rebuilt from scratch. The study door stays open now. No more walls, no more hidden safes. I told Adrian that trust isn't a gift you leave in a will. It's something you have to build. Brick by brick, from the ashes of your own mistakes. He's starting with the first brick. And I'm staying long enough to make sure it holds.